Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Messenger. In the last part, we did the DLC finale, and now for the true one. The music box beckons. Are you ready to face your last challenge, Messenger? Okay, one of my favorite touches about this entire place is that the melody we've been collecting is the theme for the area, and it's a kick-ass song at that. The music box is a tricky final area. There's not much annoying about it, it's just more so a consistently high difficulty, partially due to a high amount of damage, a lot of hazards, and quite a bit of ways to die, including a lot of crushers. And a very minor detail that I can't tell if it's just my mind playing tricks on me or not, I swear at least the crushers in the steam vents in this area move to the beat of the music. And if that's true, that's just so cool. I love it when stuff times itself to the music just based off how long it'll knows you'll be in a certain place. The music box is ultimately the culmination of everything you've done throughout the game. Everything you've learned should come into play here, not barring stuff during the DLC, because obviously those were exclusive mechanics. So if you've gotten thus far, or this far rather, not thus far, I don't think that's even grammatically correct, you should get through this. I also love the background. In fact, I love steampunk levels when they're done right, and this one is very much done right. Also, I completely forget to go talk to the shopkeeper until the final checkpoint, so we won't be hearing about their thoughts on what's going on until then. Including their last story, which is gonna be interesting. Despite me loving the music, the look, and the feel of the place, there's something about this area that doesn't feel like it's the final area, if you know what I mean. Maybe it's the general mood, maybe it's the still rather generously placed checkpoints, meaning that there's plenty of times to be safe. Don't get me wrong, the platforming here can get hard, but I don't think checkpoints need to be as regular as they are. Maybe just, like, remove one of them and then space them out equally between all that. Also, this might be the one case of a song in the game where I prefer the 16-bit version to the 8-bit version without a doubt. The 8-bit version's good, it's just there's the 16-bit, the extra instruments help that mood tremendously. And since I didn't exactly talk about this during the whole Picnic Panic DLC stuff, just for the sake of keeping orders in check, how about that plot dump we got at the end of I think that was part 17? It's weird how much thought they put into the plotline of a platformer like this in my eyes, but it's that attention to detail that makes me really, really look forward to their RPG, because if they could write a story that interesting around a time-looping platformer turned Metroid, their RPG writing skills are probably going to be fantastic. It's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to, I think it's Children of the Stars, so much. I am very highly anticipating it. Also, we got another returning mechanic. The pink crystals from the Tower of Time, which I have a feeling is an intentional homage, given that Phantom is the one that started this all, so of course we'd have his tech in the Tower of Time. With that said, it doesn't work exactly the same. They're not timers, they're more so just switches to the doors like the ones in the Forlorn Temple. Just designed to look like more like they belong in this music box. Something I know I've mused about before is a sequel to this game throughout the LP. And I've talked about, like, what would they do instead of the 8-bit, 16-bit to continue that mechanic onwards and such. But the biggest things I think of would we actually be playing as Ninja still, first off? And if we were, how would they still expand the arsenal? Because, honestly, mobility-wise, there's very little the Messenger can't do by the end of this game. Which is one of the reasons I think that if they were to do a sequel, it would probably be either with a different Messenger entirely, like maybe a prequel about the monk's journey. because the primal fear that they've described is more or less final boss tier on its own. And what could they even refine from this game? Because the game has its surprise in the middle due to the whole Metroidvania twist, yeah. But the only refinement I can think would be for them to make it a Metroid-like from the start, and I'm not sure how well that would go. Maybe if they made, like, 2 games at once, one a proper Ninja Gaiden-like, one a proper Metroid-like. At the same time, though, I feel like part of this game's charm is just what it tries to do and how well it does it. I would like to see a sequel to this game, but I also understand that, first off, probably the DLC probably didn't sell well enough for them to make the latter two. Let's be real at this point. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. And would they even be focusing on that now that they're doing more games just in the world, like with the Children of the Stars? Now, in looking around on the wiki just in my own spare time between parts, there is an entire page that's unrelated to most of the plot stuff that's just called Theory Lore Tidbits, which is about one of the lead writers' thoughts on the game and sprinkling in some very minor lore stuff. And we also learned some interesting behind-the-scenes stuff. Apparently the rope dart was originally supposed to be the Bramble Whip that the Queen of Quills used during the boss fight, but they felt that some boss fights giving you upgrades and some not was too uneven, so they decided not to do that. I can't help but wonder what kind of journey just every portion of this game went through in development, given the clear passion behind it all. It's why I love indie games so much, even though I don't exactly talk about that too much. I do love indie games. It's just that there's not many that I consider generally worth my style of LP. Some of them are more suited to post commentary, some more to live, so on and so forth. Like a very story-focused one like Iconoclasts. Even though I like that game, that's probably a game that if I wanted to do an LP of, I would have probably done, or should have probably done blind, because that story impact is a huge part of the game. Whereas a game like The Messenger, where the point is mostly comedy with some deep down messages, I can do that post-commentary and talk about things no problem. Although on the topic of unimplemented ideas, originally there was going to be a mechanic that led into an achievement called Hollow Be Thy Frame, where you would be able to place your own frames around checkpoints to create shop air portals in the Elemental Skylines and the Music Box, given that we're the first messenger to venture through them. And I admit that would have been cool, because apparently the frames were all built by previous messengers. At least the initial lore idea was for that. I understand why they didn't end up going with that, though, because, especially here in the Music Box, what would be the point of putting up frames? Gameplay-wise, there wouldn't be, because we're the last messenger story-wise, so doing that would be kind of redundant. At least I think we're supposed to be the last messenger story-wise. Given that time travel is a thing, and apparently that the Tower of Time takes you to where you're needed, not necessarily what is the last chronological point, we are in our relative future, but we might be in another messenger's relative past. So, I guess that's a part of that whole thing. Time travel is hard to write, I think is the thing I should come out of this saying. Like, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen time travel ever done 100% with 100% consistency, no worries to it whatsoever, everything written completely well. And honestly, I can't. Every single time travel plot has plot holes. And frankly, that's fine. There's no need to be that nitpicky about every storyline in existence. Like, I love Back to the Future, but that time travel has plot holes. Shadows of... oh, what was it called? Shadow of the Future? Shadow of the Damned? No, that's the Suda51 game. The PSP PS2 game that takes place in, like, Germany with stupid voice acting and just is overall a very poorly written game. That game's time travel is absolutely awful. If anything, The Messenger is one of the few times where they do a relatively good job about it because they don't address it too much directly in storyline. It's more so a gameplay element they decided to make a slight part of the storyline. At least in terms of how the game presents it. Lore behind the scenes, there's probably more stuff I'm just not aware of at this point, which is very possible. I will say part of the thing I really like about the Music Box as well It plays not only more like the obvious, more linear levels we've had throughout the game, but it also feels like it's a more focused level, because obviously there's only the very few mechanics throughout it, between the crushers and the steam vents. But there's also legitimately no side pads. Every single other linear level has side pads just for the power seals. Even Autumn Hills back in part 1 did. The fact that this is just one straightforward line makes it really feel like we are focused in our objective, and I do like that. I doubt that's entirely narrative. That might just be me reading way too deep into it. It's not that deep, bro, I get it. But come on, let me have some fun. I seldom talk about true plot analysis throughout my games, unless I'm just making fun of stuff or playing blind to story things like in every RPG I've played ever on the channel. Even my quote-unquote blind LPs, like my original Battle.org 1 LP, which was blind played, so to speak, with the story. There's really no story to really talk about in Battle.org 1, is there? Aside from learning Mega Man's hub. And even then, eh. I think what also sticks out about the music box to me is that the level doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. Most of the other levels, even without the boss fights, are often upwards of 15 plus minutes. With the exception being Bamboo Creek, of course, as well as Howling Grotto, just due to the structures of those levels. Whereas, even before the final checkpoint, this level is only about 10 minutes long. It's a very focused 10 minutes long, but it's still only 10 minutes. Maybe close to 11. Either way. I find that a very interesting balance for focus. At the same time, though, we did just have a giant plot dump on us. Technically the last part in terms of plot line and recording. Technically 4 parts ago in terms of what's being uploaded in what order. We're almost to Phantom, though, if you can't tell by the music, so time for our final talk with the shopkeeper. Let's see what they have to say. So about the current area. Well, this is it. Is this my last chance to take care of any unfinished business before the big ending? Is a frog's ass watertight? I guess so. Precisely. Any stories to share? One last for the road, huh? Why, of course. Here's one for you. There once was a little boy stuck in a well. It wasn't really clear why he was in there. People assumed he fell while playing, or that someone had pushed him in. In truth, he had jumped in there himself. He spent years in the well, wasting away anxiously, feeling utterly inadequate. He had a deep desire to share his ideas with the world, but shame having played such a big part in his upbringing, his will lay broken. That's why the well suited him so perfectly, a place to hide where he could be alone with his stories with no one to mock or judge him. A safe life, unfortunately devoid of purpose, but at least shielded from rejection. One day as he was role-playing, a wanderer passing by looked down the well. "Hey, what's going on down there?" he asked, curiously, intent on joining in on the fun. "Oh, nothing. Sorry about the noise," the little boy replied. And thus the well remained silent for weeks. The wanderer, patient and compassionate, sat by the well for all that time. His mind was already made up. He would do whatever it took to get that little boy out of there, so that he could share his stories with the world. The creative flame in that little boy's heart refused to die, and eventually he started role-playing again. And so the wanderer very cautiously started interacting with him again, telling him that his stories were entertaining and nothing to be ashamed of. Their friendship built really slowly, based on genuine intentions and trust. A few months later, the wanderer and the little boy were sitting together in the well, laughing and sharing stories. The well became an increasingly habitable place, and passersby started looking in. "I think I'm not the only one who would like to hear your stories," the wanderer mused one day. "I'm too afraid to climb out," the little boy replied. "It's okay," the wanderer reassured him. "Let me know when you're ready." Years passed, the little boy's imagination becoming more focused, his thoughts and stories shaping into a concrete little world. And then one day, he decided to take the chance. He would build this world and show it to everyone. The wanderer helped him climb out. "Merci, Philip." The little boy shared his ideas with creators of all crafts, and to his surprise, they wanted to help building it. And so, the small team was put together, and he was officially became a writer. I wish I could tell you it all ended in fame and fortune, but I trust you understand it's not what this whole journey has ever been about anyway. Merci Sylvain. Merci Eric. Merci Martin. Merci Michael. Merci Philippe. Merci Jean-Luc. Merci Carl. Merci Savannah. Merci Megali. I hope I didn't massacre any of those names. I'm sorry if I did. I think I hear Phantom's tune. Yes, the time has come. Any advice? I'm sorry, all we know is that the curse is very strong within him. You need to do this on your own. Godspeed, messenger. Thanks, buddy. Let's get this done. A visitor? I must be having visions again. Are you okay? I mean no harm. Intentions matter little. My tune must be played. It was fated. Who are you? Did you get my message? How dare you trespass here? I'm here to help. You've been cursed. Cursed? It's all true then, isn't it? All of it. But you can end this now. Remove the mask. Preposterous. I shall make short work of you. I'm not your enemy. You created the scroll, didn't you? Impossible. How long has it been? Did someone really get my message? Enough. You will pay you for your treachery. Listen to me, Phantom. It took centuries, but humanity never gave up on you. Lies, lies, lies. I am here to set you free. I shall have none of it. Prepare to die, intruder. Final boss is Phantom, and I died a couple times off screen. First, starting off, he has a Phantom Ganon volley move. All of the moves that... Oh, actually, no, he's starting off with probably the most interesting one they're talking about. This is the Dimension Swap move. He is constantly going to have 2 of his masks wandering around the center of the screen. This can later become 3, and I believe even 4 later down the road in the fight. And in the future, there are hazards. In the past, there are not, so you need to make sure you stay in the past. The Phantom Ganon Volley is, I believe, the only way to outright stun him, but it takes quite a couple of hits to get it to happen. And I usually mess up right towards the end of it, too. Thankfully, he has a couple other chances he leaves himself open. Which is like, namely, not this move, but one very soon. He can also go to the top center of the screen, causing several clones to spawn. And they'll all slowly spin in a circle while trying to home in on you. If you use the Windmill Shuriken, it's very easy to hit him and then get him to knock him out of that. I believe that's the move he's about to do, actually. Yes, it is. Hit him with the Shuriken after a certain point, and that entire attack gets stopped. Easily his most threatening attack, though, is one where he spawns right in front of the piano again. What he's going to do in that case is start playing it and cause the organ to generate a mimic of his mask. It then circles lasers around the room trying to follow you. If you're good about your sword play and shuriken windmill shuriken placement, you can get a lot of hits in during that, but it's not the phase you're supposed to get a lot of hits in. You're supposed to be dodging more often than not. It's just my very upfront personal playstyle that causes me to do that. This is probably the hardest version of this attack to dodge, as it's a lot of hazard. If you just do the mid-air attack, though, you can very easily just stick with one of the masks and avoid hits. As a final boss, it's not hard, but it's not easy either. It's fitting for the game's difficulty curve at this point. Thank you. The music box. No, all my memories. My love. This is bad. Let's get out of here. I really hope they can make it out fine. I'd love to finally meet Phantom. I am so worried right now. What if the shopkeeper doesn't get there in time? I knew I should have gone myself. We made it. It's finally over. Oh, it's Phantom! Do you want to try the Tower of Time challenge I designed? Give him some time. He's had quite a ride. But I've been waiting for this moment ever since I was first given the scroll. Can't you just breathe? Just this once? What's wrong? The curse. The mask's energy. I don't want to go back. I can't! All those walls. Hey, you're safe now. Don't worry. It's here. It wants to take me back. Help! Oh, this is bad. As I feared, Phantom was keeping the curse's power contained. How do we stop it? We don't. Its full force has been unleashed. We were fools. This was their plan all along, to let the curse grow in power as we waged an ultimately meaningless battle. Only to annihilate us completely when we thought we had won. What are you talking about? Surely you won't all get off it so easily. Any suggestions then? I'm listening. It's simple. We have to do the thing. The order's down to 3 of us. You know we're no match for such a force. Everyone here is attuned to the scroll, so we should all be able to do the thing. Everyone, with me! One last time, people. Let's do the thing! Prepare to do some button mashing, by the way. And with no further ending beyond that, at least until after the credits, that's The Messenger. I absolutely love this game. I have some qualms about it, don't get me wrong, but it's a very solid action platformer with really great music, a much more involved storyline than you'd first think, and just a really fun mechanic set. If I were to say my biggest complaint about it, it would be something I brought up loosely a couple times, that I think it's generally better when it's trying to be a Ninja Gaiden than when it's trying to be a Metroid. Because they designed the Metroid-like elements around A to B linear Ninja Gaiden-like stages, back and forth traveling, even with the warp points that we have, becomes very much a chore of just going from point A to point B back and forth with very little to do new in the meanwhile. When you get back to new Ninja Gaiden-like areas like the Riviera Turquoise, Sunken Shrine, Music Box, all those areas, it's really good. But when you're going for 100%, especially going after every power seal, it's admittedly a little bit tedious going through all the main areas. With that said, again, this is one of my favorite games of 2018 for a reason. Even with that problem, I still think this game is great. Honestly, it's probably a pretty decent introductory game for people who want to get into the Metroidvania-like genre, because it's a very solid attempt at it. It does great things with its mechanics. Its story is hilarious. The writing is the highlight of this game to me. And just in general, the level design is amazing. The ninja doesn't have much he can do, let's be real. He can jump, he can slash, he can jump slash, he can glide, he can rope dart, and that's it. The fact that they were able to make so many circumstances around those few mechanics and make them all work is incredible. There's only really one control issue the game has, and it's the one they brought up in the DLC. Sometimes you cling onto a wall when you don't want to, and that's about it. That is amazing. Sabotage Studio, despite this being, I believe, their only major published game, thanks to Devolver publishing it, by the way, is one I think we should all have our eyes on for the future, because their new game looks to be just as passion-filled as this one, with even how little we've seen of it by this point in April 1st, 2020, I should note. I cannot recommend this game enough. If you want to play it, it's on PC and Switch, and actually, were there other console releases? I don't think there was I don't think there was an Xbox One one, at least. There may have been a PS4. Let me see. I heavily recommend it all the same. Let's see. Yeah, just switch and... Oh, no, there's a PS4 release from March of 2019. So yeah, I recommend it. I recommend it a lot. Having already covered Picnic Panic, though, I do wonder if we're ever going to get those latter 2 DLCs for the Barma'Thazel's Revenge trilogy. I hope we do, and if they ever are released, I will do them and put them up to YouTube. But as for right now, this is The Messenger 100% done. And as for what's up next in my LPs, there's one I've not been avoiding doing, but been holding off until I got a few more games between this and the last game of this variety. More on that tomorrow or Monday, whenever this gets uploaded. Also notable, it's at this point you'd be unlocking New Game Plus, as well as the ability to do Picnic Panic. So if you're playing along, you needed to wait until this point to access Picnic Panic, but now you can do that. And with that, even though there's going to be a cutscene, I'm just going to do my usual sign-off now. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then. And now for me to talk more because there's a cutscene. Then the mask shattered into pieces, and humanity was finally rid of the demon curse. The end. Wow, talk about a long story. Well, you asked. Anything else I could help you with? I don't know. Can't afford any upgrades at the moment. Well, do you have any other stories to share? Of course, here's one for you. Oh, shopkeeper. Her messages and stories just never end in entertainment, do they? To be continued. And hopefully, I'll see you guys then.